Greetings, this is Peter Alexander. Today I'm going to run a few characters through AccuRIG, Reallusion's newest auto-rigging tool. I selected these characters to give AccuRIG a bit more of a challenge than a typical human model. Hopefully this demo will show the strength of AccuRIG, as well as some tips on how to get difficult characters through the process if you run into problems. First up is the stylized monkey base mesh from the artist Ali Fersengi. I chose this because of its cartoon nature. It has 4 fingers and is not quite human. The process of initiating a rigging project is straightforward. Just select an FBX or OBJ model, preferably somewhat humanoid. AccuRIG will analyze the character and estimate the position of the bone nodes, which you can then adjust. As with most characters, AccuRIG's algorithm does a great job of estimating bone placement nodes. I only need to adjust them slightly. AccuRIG has a great visual feature where if you place your cursor over a node, it will give the correct placement on a standard human model representation. The midpoint placement option is great for rigging most areas of the body, especially fingers and limbs. It will basically snap the bone node to the center of the area that it's being placed. These hands proved to be a bit tricky for the rigging algorithm. I tried spacing out the fingers, but it still struggled. Fortunately, it's very easy to fix this. After switching to 4-digit fingers, the visual guides assisted me. In addition to the bone guides, there's a rotation guide for the thumb to assist with proper bending. With the finger nodes placed, you can copy the changes over to the other hand using the mirror function. You can see that even with a character like this, there's a high degree of compatibility with ActorCore animations. Some characters will need to have an offset added to their pose, and fortunately AccuRIG can accommodate this. After rigging, you can adjust the character further with pose offsets. For example, this character's hands clipped his face due to the size of his head. I mitigated this by adjusting his arms. The preview animations can be played as you're adjusting the offsets, which is very useful. You may have to switch between a few animations. One offset may work for one animation, but mess up another, the goal being a correct range of movement. By the way, if you need to readjust something, you can go back to a previous step by selecting it in the menu, so you don't have to redo everything. You can also save out your AccuRIG data for later use. This looks fine to me, so I'll upload him to ActorCore and assign some animations. I imagine this character being quite childlike in nature, so I'll assign him some animations from the kids pack. I'll then initiate a download, with Blender selected as my target 3D application. In Blender, I'll import the FBX through the Import Character dialog of the Character Creator Tools add-on. Here I'm just assigning the matcap shader for faster animation previews. From the rigging and animation section of the add-on, you can apply Rigify controls to your rig. This provides access to professional animation controls. You may notice that some controls don't move the rig. This is because Rigify has controls for both FK and IK. These can be adjusted through the Item section when the appropriate controls are selected. In addition to these controls, you can import, preview, and bake animations that you've downloaded from ActorCore. While you can import all of the animations at once, I recommend limiting them to a select few unless you need them all. Here I'm just putting the extra animation rigs in a separate collection and then hiding them. Finally, you can preview your animations before deciding to bake them to your control rig. Once baked, the control rig follows the animations, allowing you to make additional adjustments as the animator. Next up is this stylized werecat base mesh from the artist Anton Rabarsky. I chose this model because of its highly stylized nature. It is semi-humanoid, has claws that extend past the fingers, and has fingers which may have less joints than a standard human. I wanted to see if the cat-like feet also present a problem. Just so you know, I provided some UVs and texture painting for the purpose of this video. The auto rigger did an excellent job with this model, with very few adjustments needed. As for the hands, it did a better job here than with the monkey, because it uses the 5-digit default for the fingers. The only possible issue is that it moved the nodes for the tips of the fingers to the ends of the claws. This may be fine, but I'm going to move them to the ends of the fingers instead. I'm only making minor adjustments to the posing offsets. I'm always wary of making changes when there isn't a huge problem. I trust that the default positions are mostly adequate. With this character's rigging finished, I'll export him to ActorCore and assign the Grumpy Claw animation, which I feel is fitting for this character. Again in Blender, I'll import the character and assign him a Rigify control rig, and import his ActorCore animation. One thing I'll mention is that you should scale your characters properly before going through this entire process, at least if you want to use Rigify. If Blender perceives that your character is extremely small or extremely large, for example 100 meters or 10 millimeters tall, the Rigify controls might not align well to your characters. I found that the Character Creator Tools add-on worked very well with this model, especially as companion tools for AccuRIG. The final model is this Demon Lord character from the artist BitGem, which can be purchased through Sketchfab. This model is already rigged, but I wanted to put it through AccuRIG to examine and overcome some of the possible complications with a low polygon model of this design. I can see some potential issues, and I'll try to guide viewers through them in case I run into similar problems. The rigging algorithm does a good job here, considering the shape of the model. I do see an issue coming with the mouth and the head, though. AccuRIG is going to interpret the bottom of the mouth as the neck. This probably can't be fixed here, but there's a fairly easy fix in Blender. Like the monkey, this character has 4 digits for fingers, and like the werecat, he has claws. However, these claws are probably okay to leave as the tips of the fingers. The wobbly mouth is related to the issue I mentioned previously, which I will fix in Blender. And for this character, I'll assign a Diablo type spell summoning animation. With this character loaded in Blender, I noticed that the skinning didn't catch his bracers fully. This fix is the same as I'll use for the head. I want to find the proper bone group for his forearm and assign the bracer geometry to that group rather than his hand. This will have the effect of also adjusting his weight maps. For this final fix, I want his jaw to be in the same bone group as his head rather than as his neck. This can be refined further, but I hope this provides a way to further refine AccuRIG's results. And with that, I'll close out this video. I hope this demo showed some of AccuRIG's potential, as well as provided some tips on overcoming some of the potential issues you might encounter. I'm Peter Alexander. Thanks for watching.